You can, I don't know if you have witnesses or anything else. You have a right to testify yourself. If you wish to do so, we'll have to have you sworn in first, because anything you would say that is not under oath is not evidence. Okay?
Yep.
And do you wish to testify, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll have you raise your right hand and be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, sir. You can testify as to what you would like to state.
I mean, I met Miss McKediak and we were married. We didn't even live together for 9 months. We separated. It's been constant turmoil and drama and strife. Everything that was at the house, she took, my dogs included. You know, I don't understand how she's asking for child or spousal support when she took care of me for 5 years when I was incarcerated. And then home, I was only with her for 9 months. As far as anything else, I just want visitation set by the court for my son, so that way she has to abide by it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I just want the divorce.
Okay. Well, sir, as it relates to visitation, your son, if you would explain to me and testify as to how your relationship with your son is.
There isn't one. She's kept them from me for the past 4 years. Then when I don't do anything after the fact, as far as birthdays, Christmases, or anything, then I'm the bad guy. But when I was able to contact her and be able to be like, hey, what are you getting the kids so we don't get double? It was always a big constant fight. She's just been spiteful. It's one of those, she can't have me, nobody else can. And then I can't see my son if I'm not catering to her. For example, she was trying to get me locked up and sent back because I wouldn't pay her electric bill that she ran up $1,602. And then, of course, I can't see my son. But if I'm giving her money and paying for stuff and doing everything she wants, then she'll let me come over and see him or whatever. Other than that, I don't ever get to see him. She's continually used him as a pawn for financial gain.
Okay. Let me ask you one thing, sir, as I do note in reviewing the pleadings, you had said that you were married on October 10th, 2019. Defendant in her answer states you were married on October 22nd, 2019. Do you know what your date of your marriage was?
No, it wasn't the 10th. The 10th's my son's birthday.
Okay.
So maybe it was I don't remember. You know, that was, 19. And she moved out of the house that December and moved to her mom and dad.
In December, you said, is it 2019?
Yeah. Because we found out she was pregnant. I think it was either December or January. She moved out and moved back to mom and dad's because we were arguing and fighting so much.
At the time of the scheduling conference, there's also stated that there was a dispute on property division. Would you explain to me, are you aware of any dispute on property division?
No, sir, because last time, well, not the last hearing, the hearing before, this was all supposed to have been settled. She'd stated on the record she didn't want anything and there was no property to be divided.
Okay. Well, today is different and people can change their minds. I'm just wondering if there is a property division.
Yeah, I don't have one. I don't know of anyone or anything.
Okay.
She's already got
okay.
Anything I would
clarify first. Well, in your complaint, you state that the date of separation was December 1, 2019. And she stated no, that you separated in 2020. Do you know, was it December or was it in
I mean,
going into 2020?
if it was 2020, it would have been January of 2020 or December of, it's within a month, or December of 19.
Okay. Any other evidence, sir?
No.
Okay, thank you. And do you rest your case then, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, you can proceed with your proofs.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Lindsay McKediak.
Okay. Ms. McKediak, we'll have you raise your right hand and be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Smith, when you're ready.
Thank you. Mrs. McKediak, when did you and Mr. McKediak meet?
We met years ago. I was about 13 years old when we first met.
Ma'am, you're a little bit faint, so speak up, please, and try to project.
I was really young when we first met. I was like 13 years old when we first met.
And when did you and Mr. McKediak get married?
We got married October, I believe it was October 22nd, 2019, and it was at 3:30 or 3:17 p.m.
Do you recall when Mr. McKediak was released from prison?
He was released from prison June of 2021, or May, and then went back 17 days later in June 19th of 2021. So.
And do you know when he was released the second time?
Well, yeah, it was 10 months later. So February, so I want to say it was February 4th, 2022.
After
That was the day, but roughly.
After Mr. McKediak was released from prison, did he have any involvement in your son's care?
Which time?
The second time.
The second time, he tried really hard to make right for a little while, for I'd say a couple weeks. He financially tried.
Okay, hold on a second, ma'am. You're gonna have to compose yourself because I can't understand a word you're saying.
I know he financially tried to help, but no.
What about as far as, do you need a moment? Are you ready? How did Mr. McKediak aid in his care as far as being hands-on and physically beyond the financial?
He didn't. He didn't show interest in him. It was all about us getting back together and living together, but he was on parole and we were not supposed to even be having contact with one another. And but that did not stop him. So it was really hard.
So I'd like to ask you a question about what you just said. So you stated that Mr. McKediak was on parole and the two of you were not supposed to have contact. Why were you not supposed to have contact during that time?
Domestic violence. He did some pretty horrible stuff to me.
Is that why Mr. McKidiak went to prison?
Yes.
So you stayed home full time with your child to ensure that he got the care he needed?
Yes.
And who financially supported you during that time?
Um, well, the state it helped out a lot, but some family and friends helped me out. I had savings that I had from my first kid, but it was really a struggle. So
Did Mr. McKidiak help financially?
no.
What about when he got out of prison?
He did for about a month. Like I said, he tried for a very short span where he was stopping off at my house, and he would stop and drop off some money every day. He said he would give me like half of what he made, or whatever, and sometimes it was very generous amounts, like $500, $400, $400, $300 a day. And he makes a crazy amount of money, so that made things a lot easier.
But was that consistent? Does he continue to do that?
It was consistent for that month, but no. After that, no.
Do you have an idea of how much money he makes?
I know that he's made between certain money. It ranges, but $20,000 to $30,000 a month. He made that several times, and he brags about it. One tattoo, can be easy $500, and he's very talented. He does a bunch of them in a day. So, the last time I spoke to him, one time he told me how he felt bad that his employees only made $500 that day, and I'm thinking, lucky if I get that in a month.
So, Mr. McKidiak is a very talented tattoo artist. So he's able to make this amount of money that you stated. Does he currently help you financially?
No.
How much child support is he ordered to pay?
$600. I used to think it was $550, but I think it's $658 a month, which I think I could be wrong there too. I think it's actually $698 a month. I want to say that's what it is. I think it's $698 a month is what he's. But that could be wrong. So I don't know, because he'll go a period where he doesn't pay, and then he'll put a large lump sum down. So, but I want to say it's close to $700 a month.
Other questions, Your Honor?
Okay. So McKidiak, I'm going to give you opportunity to question the defendant, but I have some questions first. So, ma'am, I'm unclear about when when the domestic violence occurred and when he went to prison.
Okay.
First, my question is I take it from what you've said, there was some domestic violence during the marriage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when did that happen?
When did the domestic violence happen?
Yes.
throughout the whole marriage, but he was charged with domestic violence. It was July 17th of 2020, right before our son was born. He had went to jail for it. I don't think he actually ever he got charged with it. He took a plea for it later on down the road.
Okay, so you don't know if he was charged at all, but you think something happened.
Well, he went to jail, but I don't know, like, criminally wise, because he did go to prison, but he was on federal probation.
Okay,
So,
and that would have been sometime after July of 2020, correct?
yes.
Okay. Let's go back to, because again, going through your testimony has been very unclear to me. You said you were married in October of 2019,
Yep.
and then you moved out, and I wasn't clear, when did you move out?
I moved out in February.
February of 2020?
Yes. I ended up, yes. And I left everything there. I didn't really move out. I just went and stayed at my mom and dad's. I didn't move out.
Well, you must have moved out if you weren't staying there anymore.
Well, I didn't move out. I just went and stayed there the plan was to go stay at mom and dad's for a few nights.
Okay.
But I never got to actually move my stuff out. He ended up selling and destroying and burning everything me and my son owned. So I never actually got to just move out.
Okay. So after February of 2020, when you moved out to your parents, is it fair to say, based upon what you said, you never moved back in together and lived together as husband and wife? Is that correct?
No, because he went to prison.
Okay. Again, you never moved back together.
No, but no,
Okay.
he went to prison.
Okay. Just answer my question. I'm trying to clarify.
I moved back into the house, but not with him.
Okay. So effectively, as of February 2020, the two of you are separated, and you've stayed separated since that time.
Yes.
Okay. You stated that you believed that you could return to work, correct?
Yes.
And prior to your leaving employment, you had your attorney had asked you the last day that you had worked, and you didn't answer that. So I don't know, when was the last time that you worked?
Well, my work schedule was sporadic because of my son. So,
Okay, that doesn't tell me anything about the last day you worked. When did you work last?
I have had a part-time job, so.
Okay, ma'am, I don't care if it's part-time, full-time, or what.
I'm trying to think. The last time I worked was just recently, so I don't know the exact date, but recently, within a week, I worked. I've been starting to work back up. When's the last day I worked was? Thursday.
Hold on, ma'am. Ma'am, it looks like you're talking to somebody. Is that correct?
Yes.
Ms. McKediak,
I asked what day was the last day I worked. Yes.
are you talking to somebody in the room and getting answers?
Yes.
Do not speak to anyone else. Do not take answers from them. I'm asking you, if they want to testify and your attorney wants them to testify, she can call them. I don't want answers from another third party. I'm looking for you. When was the last day that you worked?
Thursday.
Last Thursday?
Yep.
Yesterday.
Last Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, so I started working there. Let's see.
Approximately. You don't need to give me the
I'm
exact date.
trying to think what date it was. I'm sorry, I have COVID. I don't feel very good. Roughly August of 2023. I've like spontaneously worked there.
So you've been working there for approximately a year.
Off and on
Okay.
when I can.
You stated that you've been supporting yourself through, you said you did have some savings. Is that correct?
Yes.
And how much do you have in savings left approximately?
A couple $1,000, but I'm negative too at the same time. I have
Okay. You stated that the plaintiff had at different times, you said he had destroyed your phone, your cell phone, but then you stated that there was an insurance claim made. Did the insurance pay for the cell phone?
I had to pay for the deductible of the cell phone.
Okay.
So
how much was the deductible?
$200 each time.
And how many times was the cell phone destroyed?
6.
6 times?
Yes.
And each time did you have to pay the deductible?
Yes. I think one time I had to pay for the phone. One time I had to pay the $1,200 for the phone, or $1,400. I had to pay the phone completely, the whole bill.
Okay. I'm asking just as a average, not each and every week or each and every month. On average, how much do you make per month?
I don't know what I make per month, sir. I know what I make hourly.
How much do you make hourly?
$27 an hour. $27.50.
And on an average, how many hours per week do you work?
Again, that's when it's been able to be accommodating to my son's needs. So
Okay, I'm asking for an average, ma'am. You've been working a year. You can give me an average over that
I
year.
don't have an average.
We have to have an average, ma'am.
Autism is not average. So I don't have an average for you.
Okay, if 1 month you work and you make $200 that month, the next month you work and you make $400, the average for those 2 months would be $300. I'm asking an average per month for the last year that you've worked.
Well, probably $600. I make my house payment, I get by.
Okay. Okay, I have no further questions at the time. Mr. McKediak, do you have any questions of the defendant?
Yes, a lot.
Well, understand they have to be questions. They can't be statements.
Yes, correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. McKediak, how many people reside in your home?
3.
You sure?
Oh, I'm sure, John.
Okay. So, and also, Ms. McKediak, you said you had to pay for any broken phones. Were you working when the phones were broke?
No, because my husband didn't let me.
Where did the replacement money
Hold
for
on
the
one
phones?
second before you do that, just to clarify. You say your husband let you, was this at a time when the two of you were not married, or when you married and he was your husband?
We were married. We've been
Okay.
married, so
That's fine. I just, when you said that,
we just didn't live together.
I didn't know who you were talking about. Go ahead, Mr. McKediak.
So, Ms. McKediak, you weren't working when phones were broke. Where'd the replacement money for the phones come from?
Ma'am, don't look to somebody else for an answer.
And my child is right there. I'm sorry.
Okay. He asked you,
I
where
do
did the
have
money
two children.
come? Where did the money come from to pay for the replacement of phones if you were not working at the time?
Lonnie Osborne.
What?
Lonnie Osborne.
Okay.
Okay. Also, you said you'd worked at.
Was I working when you were released from prison?
Yes.
You were released in prison, let's see, February of 2022. So no, I was not working when you were released from prison.
Okay. Okay. Man, I've got so much. Now, you spoke on moving to mom and dad, your parents' house. Did your residency on your ID change, or your living residency as far as the courts?
John, you would both know that I did not move out there. I went out there and stayed out there, and then I never got to move any of my stuff. So I went out there to stay, but I never got to move out the house. So it just became
I asked,
official.
did your residency change for the
Yes,
court?
it did, because you went and got a PPO to make it so I couldn't come back to my home.
Okay. Thank you. Also, you'd stated Mr. McKediak had kept all your stuff and burn it and all that. Did you not kick in the back door of the house, run through and let officers in to remove all your property while removing all Mr. McKediak's property?
There's no way I could have. I had a small car. There was no way. But the police did break in the back door. Yes, they did.
And did you remove everybody's property?
No.
So you, Mr. Lou, didn't remove property from the house, and the police officer allowed you to
There's
enter.
a whole video of you being so proud of destroying everything afterwards.
So you didn't come back in afterwards and remove all the property?
No.
With two officers, or two BCPD officers?
No.
Okay.
And my attorney has the video of you after the fact too. So I didn't.
So
you removed everything after, and I have that proof. So my attorney can show that evidence.
You also alleged that Mr. McKediak was abusive to the dog. Didn't your dog kill one of Mr. McKediak's puppies, and he wanted him removed from the house?
You locked 3 dogs up in a cage together and left them alone. You don't know what dog killed what dog.
Ms. McKediak, stop. He's asking you a question. Did your dog kill one of the puppies? Do not go off on tangents. Answer just the questions. If your attorney has other questions to ask, she can get clarification. We're going to be here days if you're not going to answer the questions that are asked. Did your dog kill one of his puppies?
No.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. McKediak, every time Mr. McKediak was incarcerated, did you put money on the phone and send money to him?
Yes, I had sent you money, and yes, I had put money on the phone.
Okay. Do you ever contact Mr. McKediak's girlfriends or anybody he's involved with and message him on Messenger and Facebook?
Nope.
No? Okay. What else do I want to say? McKediak. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
McKediak, do you receive support from Mr. McKediak, Tyler Yaw, and Social Security State of Michigan?
I'm sorry. What? I didn't hear you.
Do you receive child support from Mr. McKediak, Tyler Yager, and Social Security for Brantley McKediak?
Because you do not pay your child support, it messes with the Social Security. So,
But do you receive?
I just told you, if you don't pay your it messes with the Social Security. Tyler Yager pays his $100 a month consistently. You do not.
But do you receive child support and Social Security for Tristan Yager, Brantley McKediak?
I do not receive child support. No, because you do not pay it.
So there's child support ordered.
There's child support ordered, but you don't pay it.
And do you receive Social Security?
I receive Social Security.
Yes or no?
Yes, I receive Social Security when you pay your child support. It's a monthly based thing on income, and it messes with my Social Security, Brantley Social Security, when you do not pay your child support.
Do you leave your children with people in your home, Ms. McKediak?
No, I don't have people in my home.
Do you, how often does your parents have the children?
My parents see my children probably daily.
How often do they take them overnight, Ms. McKediak?
They take them every maybe other weekend.
Every other weekend? Okay.
Sometimes they haven't taken them one time for 9 months straight.
And then
I've had 4 surgeries, so they have taken them, and helped me out with them because their fathers are completely absent.
So, Ms. McKediak, the other people reside in your house, are they drug addicts?
And nobody resides at my house.
Excuse me?
Objection. My client already stated that only 3 people, her and
I
her two
understand, but this is
reside in the home.
cross-examination. I'll allow some leeway.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McKediak, do you use illicit drugs, and are you addicted to codeine and Vicodins
Oh my
and morphine?
Oh my God, John. No.
You're not?
No, John.
Ms. McKediak, have you been placed on a list?
I don't even drink. No, and
Ma'am, ma'am, stop the narrative. Answer the questions.
No.
Ms. McKediak, have you been placed on the seekers list at the hospitals for seeking illicit drugs and prescription pills?
Do you work at the hospital?
Ma'am, that's not an answer.
No, I've never been. I do get prescribed a pain prescription for but that's none of your business.
Well, I mean, I was just concerned you're worried about the welfare of your son.
What does my prescriptions, medications that is monitored by a doctor have to do with my child?
It's your drug addiction.
Sir,
It's not a drug addiction. If
ask
a
the
doctor gives
question.
it to me, this
Ma'am,
is the type
no
of
narrative. I don't want to keep telling you. Answer the questions, that's all.
No, I don't have a drug problem.
So, Ms. McKediak, change the subject. Every time Mr. McKediak was sent back to federal prison, speaking on the domestic violence and whatnot, was he ever convicted?
Yes.
Yes. So how many?
You've had 2 domestic violences.
With you, Ms. McKediak, how many has he had that he's been convicted of?
I don't know. It was during COVID. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what
So-
you pleaded to. I don't know what you pleaded to. I don't
Every
know.
time,
I don't know the answer to your question.
every time Mr. McKediak was incarcerated federally, what was that for?
Breaking
Well, you guys-
breaking no contact orders.
Okay, so for no contact. And you never reached out to contact Mr. McKediak, correct?
No, I didn't reach out and make contact with you.
Okay. So, all right, now let's get into Mr. McKediak's finances. You stated Mr. McKediak makes $20,000 to $30,000 a month.
Yes.
Do you realize how much that is a year?
He has a lot of money. I know.
Okay. Where do you get that assumption or that information from?
You.
All right, Your Honor, I have my tax papers from last year. My income was $16,786.
This isn't the time to testify. I'll give you an opportunity for rebuttal.
Okay. That's pretty much Mr. McKediak, what'd you do for work prior to the the Bud House or wherever you work?
Well, cosmetology. I did cosmetology, clean houses. I was a bartender for several years. I was also an exotic dancer, and let's see, I was a caretaker, CNA. I have retail.
How long did you work after Mr. McKediak was released in 19?
I worked for a few months before you destroyed and sold all my belongings to where I couldn't work. And
Okay. So who took care of you, Mr. McKediak, and your son?
I did.
You weren't working. How were you paying your bills?
I took care of us, me and my son.
You just stayed, stopped working.
When you moved into the home, I stopped. When you moved into the house, I stopped working. Yes, John.
Okay. And my question is, who took care of you and your son and paid the bills? Who bought you cigarettes every day? Who made sure all the bills were paid? Who paid for gas while you weren't working, Mr. McKediak? Who bought school clothes? Who bought school clothes?
Oh my God.
Will you answer the question?
I bought school clothes. I bought Christmas. I bought your tattoo equipment. I bought everything.
You just stated you weren't working, Ms. McKediak.
I wasn't working in December.
Okay.
So I worked until you got out of K-Pep, John. And then when you got out of K-Pep and moved into the house, I no longer could work.
All right. So let's go into the house. You stated Mr. McKediak destroyed everything. What was the shape of the house when Mr. McKediak was arrested in 2021?
It was beautiful. It was so gorgeous. It was like a mansion. I loved it.
And so everything being destroyed at the house, but when I was arrested and you moved in, correct? Everything was remodeled and refurnished, brand new.
No, it was like that. It's like that now.
But you said the house was destroyed
It
and
was.
everything burned and broke. But
Yes.
you just said it was beautiful and
It
gorgeous.
was when you moved in, and then when you moved out, you destroyed everything.
So the house wasn't remodeled and refurnished.
Yes, I refurnished and remodeled everything. Yes.
Okay, you did it.
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. McKediac, one question before I turn it over to your attorney for redirect. You said that you did receive Social Security for Brantley.
Yes.
How much do you receive per month for him?
I get $4.96.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that concludes the proofs and the argument in this particular case. The court has a number of issues to decide, but first, the court will find, based upon the testimony, it's very clear that, in fact, the statutory basis has been met, that the parties have testified both that there's a breakdown of the marital relationship, so the court will grant the divorce in this matter. Court will note in all the testimony that credibility is always a consideration. Oftentimes, the parties will allege that one party or the other is not truthful or is even lying. However, the court finds that much testimony and inconsistent testimony occurs because individuals haven't necessarily lied, but it's based upon their backgrounds, perception, bias, understanding, misunderstanding, or simply by mistake. When the court is confronted by inconsistent testimony, the court attempts to determine if it can be reconciled by other testimony or evidence. In this case, clearly there was conflicting testimony in this case, and much of the conflicting testimony even remained conflicting and confusing after at least the court attempted to reconcile that particular testimony. Based upon all of the testimony and all the factors that the court has to weigh, the court is going to grant to the plaintiff parenting time, but the court is going to, again, seek to have that phased in. The court will first order that parenting time will occur once per week for up to 1 hour per week, supervised by Family Children Services. And that will be arranged between the parties and Family Children Services, because I don't know the parties' schedules, nor do I know if Family Children Services is capable of exercising it on that much of a routine basis of 1 hour per week. It'll be exercised, again, based upon the party schedules and whether they're able to get the child to and from Family Children Services for purposes of exercising that supervised parenting time. The court will order that will occur on a weekly basis for a period of 6 months. And after the 6 months, it'll be up to the defendant to file a petition for a review of the parenting time, and the court then can take testimony at that point from whoever the supervisor would be at Family Children Services to determine whether that should be expanded at that time. Next, the court will look at the issue of spousal support. Spousal support is provided for pursuant to MCL 552.23. The court has to look at, again, the factors as provided for in Lout's and Spears case, and the court has to look at, and I will look at, the past relationship and conduct of the parties. I've already alluded to some of that, that I'm taking into consideration. The court is looking at the length of the marriage, and as I stated, even in the best of scenarios, it looks like the length of the marriage was only about 4 months. When the parties did separate, they've not gotten back together since that time and have not, again, carried on a marital relationship since the approximate February of 2020 date, notwithstanding that there was nothing filed until, again, earlier this year by the plaintiff. Court looks at the ability of the parties to work. In this particular matter, the plaintiff is working. Apparently, he's a tattoo artist. He's working in this particular regard. That there's not been any testimony, although he mentioned about what his W-2 stated. There's been no evidence as to the amount that he makes as far as income in this matter. He's not testified to it. The defendant did not testify. She testified at one point that he was making $20,000 to $30,000 per month in this case, but she had no evidence of it. Only she had stated that he had made some representations of that kind of money or something of that nature, but there's been no direct testimony as to the amount that he makes. The court can infer, because the court does note, as the testimony shows, that he is making child support payments of $698 per month. The court notes that that is based upon incomes of the parties. Clearly, having been based upon the income of the parties, based upon that particular amount, there's no way that he's making anywhere near what has been alleged by the defendant if his support obligation is only the $698. The court would note that the defendant testified that she is working sporadically, that she makes $27.50 per hour, that he has at times made up to $600 month average since starting in August of 2023, but that it is sporadic as to how much she works. As she states, according to the some of it's according to the dictates of the child. Court would state that again should be able to be increased substantially, because she has those approximate 40 hours a week that she could work, where she is not at the current time. The court looks at the age of the parties. They've not testified as to what their ages were in this matter, but the court notes that they're not old in this matter, and therefore they have the ability to work. There's been no testimony about any physical disability, infirmities, or anything of that nature, meaning the health of the parties that would keep them from working. And so the court is taking into consideration that factor. The next is the ability to pay. As I alluded to, there's been very little, if any, testimony about the actual income of the parties, so the court doesn't have substantial evidence as to that. Based upon the extreme short-term marriage of approximately 4 months, the court does and will order that there would be no spousal support paid in this case, and it is forever barred. With that, the court believes that I have addressed everything that the court needs to before I conclude. Mr. Makidiak, because you are the plaintiff, you're responsible for drafting the judgment. You understand that?